She's from the American First Policy Institute and the executive director of the Constitutional Litigation Partnership about Donald Trump's lawsuit against the big tech companies. Katie, how are you today?
Hi, Mike. Thanks so much for having me on.
Great to talk to you. So I got to be honest, I have not followed much of Donald Trump's lawsuit yet, so I'm grateful you're here. I know the big headline, but what specifically is he suing for?
Excellent. So it's not just him. He is, in very typical fashion, as the president of the people. He is actually the lead class representative in 3 separate lawsuits. One against Facebook and Mark Zuckerberg, one against Twitter and Jack Dorsey, and the other against YouTube and Sundar Pichai. And he is leading a class of people who have been censored by big tech. So first, while it's his lawsuit in some respects, it is also representative of the kind of president that he is. He is the person who leads and cares for the people. So we have lots and lots of interested people, lots of censored Americans, other class reps that have already been named, more are coming. And so that, I think, is the most important thing to know about the lawsuit, is that it is for everyday Americans who are experiencing this horrific trampling of their First Amendment rights.
What is the legal argument that he is making? Because we know, we can say First Amendment rights, right? But what down nitty gritty, what is he going to argue?
Yeah, so that's the thing, right? The most recent Supreme Court case was in 2019, in which this court, in large part, without Amy Coney Barrett, had decided, but it wasn't close, that that social media, in that case it was a cable company, had a 230 immunity and were not subject. They were private actors. And so that has been the debate. It has been litigated multiple times. So I submit to you, Mike, and I go back to what you started by saying, which is that the behavior of social media and the collusion with the Democrats in government have been unbelievable. And it is our allegation that, in essence, the entire social media has changed in terms of what they've done by labeling misinformation. They've gone so far beyond the protections that they were given in Section 230, that Section 230 as applied is now unconstitutional, and social media has become puppets of the government. They really are a government actor at this point. If they're a government actor, then they have to abide by the First Amendment.
Interesting. Give us the history of Section 230, and give us a quick definition, then the history of it. Why is it in there? Who put it in there?
Oh, I love the history. I'm so glad you asked that. It's my favorite question. And very few people ask, especially a lawyer, because it's boring. But it started with actually The Wolf of Wall Street. And that's why I love it. It really has a human story behind it. So Stratford Oakmont, if anybody watched the movie or read the books by Jordan Belfort, sued Prodigy. Prodigy was like a financial institute website. And somebody had written on there that, Stratford Oakmont was, completely corrupt and, whatever, you shouldn't be using them at all. And so what Stratford Oakmont did, the Wolf of Wall Street, was go ahead and sue Prodigy, the owner of the web page. This was in state court in Nassau County, Long Island in New York. And the Supreme Court judge, which is the trial level, decided in Stratford Oakmont's favor. And they said that's absolutely right. A year later, the Senate and Congress were looking to update the Communication Decency Act, and they were just looking to do a basic update. And someone said, we should do something about this case in New York. Do we really want the internet to be responsible? Don't we want this as a flourishing new enterprise? And we want it to be able to grow. And if people are concerned about third-party content and they're going to be responsible for third-party content, we should give them some protection. So they gave this 230 immunity. And that was Congress's direct overturning, if you will, of the state trial court judge's opinion in 1995. So in 1996, Congress grants the immunity, in essence, reverses that decision. and says that they are private actors. They are not responsible for third party content. However, they do give them the right to take down lewd and lascivious, that is, child exploitation type of material, as well as other extremely violent materials. So they're given some editorial rights. And it is our argument that they have gone so far beyond that. As a matter of fact, child exploitation is burgeoning, if you will,
Yeah,
on
totally. Not even doing
Facebook,
that.
right, and
Um,
Twitter. So
that's super interesting, by the way. But I like that premise. So like whoever came forward with the Section 230 intention, I think I would agree with that, right? It's like, oh, we do want this
yes,
to be a free, open place. So is the conservative position that Section 230 is good, but that the social media companies, they shouldn't be subject to it? Is that
yeah,
the
I think
stance?
we've seen other places in the law and government and policy, Mike, that have just grown so far beyond what was imagined when it was
Yeah.
originally, the original intent. Liberals actually argue this all the time. Maybe not a
Yeah, good
perfect
point.
example, but gay marriage and how some laws, and they say, oh, our society has completely outgrown this law now. Well,
Mm,
in this case, I believe in private enterprise and I believe, just go build something new or something different. But in this case, because the collusion is so clear, let's go back to that clip that you showed. It's kind of like who is really getting censored on these social media sites. What happened during COVID? All of it. I just want to remind all of your viewers the greatest hypocrisy and the thing that just drives me every day is when I think about the fact that during the election, Kamala Harris and Joe Biden both said that they didn't believe in the vaccine because it had been developed under President Trump. So that was a very politically expedient message for them at the time.
mhm.
Now, all of a sudden, they're cramming the vaccine down our throat. And if we don't get it, then, we have just, failed our virtue signaling test of the day. So I just have to say, who are these people to talk about what is misinformation and what isn't? Focus on what
Yeah.
Section 230 told you to do. So
Wow, that was deep and insightful. I want more of that. Like, subscribe, get more.